you're facing a DUI charge, every decision matters. At the law office of Andrew W. Stewart II, we provide a skilled defense to protect your record, rights, and future. Call today or visit drewstewartlaw.com. Your future is worth defending. Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Welcome to Mississippi Live at 6. I am so appreciative that you could join us, especially it's finally Friday. We have our weekend set, and I know y'all have a lot of plans out tonight and into y'all's evening. So appreciate y'all taking out the time to make it for this broadcast. Now, it's been a warm week to make it to our weekend. I hate to mention that much more gross because we had below average for the first few weeks of football, but unfortunately that trend will continue into our evening as well. Matt, of course, will be live under those Friday Night Lights game of the week out in Hatley for this week, so he will be giving y'all basically the latest update and current conditions out there for the game of the week. Now, these warm and dry conditions will continue. Like I mentioned, this isn't something that just happened the past few days. We get a break for our weekend. No, it's been warming up. We're going to continue seeing that warming trend as we head into the weekend, but also the work week. So just gotta buckle up, get ready. Summer is still trying to make its lasting imprint on us before we make it to fall. But taking a look out here in Smithville, you can see pretty much just clear blue skies, beautiful conditions out there, 88 degrees. But this is the important part. Feels like 88. So I know we are warm, we are above average, but that heat, that humidity, that Mississippi wetness, still not playing factor. You can see 7-mile-per-hour winds kind of coming out of the northeast. That is responsible for that cold front that came through last week. It's really the factor on why we're seeing pretty much drier conditions, especially because it was a stormier week last week, but thankfully we're seeing those more sunny skies for our game this week. And of course, Matt, live out there in Hatley right now. You can see the sunny skies, some clouds in the sky. It looks like a better forecast than it was last week.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, while we don't have like a severe thunderstorm watch like what we had last week, we've replaced that with something that impacts pretty much everybody, and that is the hot and sticky conditions. And listen, it's not overly sticky, but I've got my sports drink here ready to go just in case. First, we're at our Mississippi Live game of the week out here in Hatley, and about an hour from kickoff, this is homecoming for the Hatley Tigers here, so they're doing a lot of homecoming court sort of things back on the field behind me here, so I'm trying not to get super duper loud for that. But we know that certainly if you're going to be heading out to some of these games tonight, you want to make sure to obviously do what you can to stay hydrated. But the dew point's not over the top, so it's actually kind of whatever that thermometer on the car says is actually what it is like. But as you can see, just kind of looking at the clouds, they're high, they're thin. There's not a lot in the way of precipitation out there, and we do expect it to probably stay dry through the games this evening for the most part. I know there's a limited chance out there. And again, we're here at our Mississippi Live Game of the Week location.
Us some rain chances as we head into the evening. So fingers crossed, but not expecting this widespread of rain showers. You can see most of it will be pretty much along I-55 and west of it out in the Delta. That's going to continue into our evening hours, especially around midnight. Still maybe some showers affecting those out in Greenville, but for most of North Mississippi, we are going to continue to stay dry. Very dry, not even a lot of cloud cover in our area. We will see clear skies until we get towards Saturday morning. You can see it's really starting to try to build back into our atmosphere. That high pressure, that's what's causing this weather right now. So not much moisture going on. Maybe some rain showers really trying to push into our area those early morning hours for our Saturday. Just not as confident on those as of now. Taking a look at the next 24, you can see those dry conditions across the entire graphic here. Starting off the day around 6 in the morning, 64 degrees will be the coolest start for our day, but it's Saturday. We don't want to wake up early. If you want to sleep in, you can still start off your day in the low 70s, around 73 for 9 o'clock. And then we will push into the 90s by the time we get in towards those peak heating hours in the afternoon, 91 or at 3 o'clock. And then we will eventually start cooling off as well, going back into those 70s and then definitely upper 60s as well. But like I mentioned earlier, we have those rain chances. Who can see these rain chances? When will they occur? When will they come back? Because most of us continue to stay dry. I'll, of course, continue keeping y'all updated right here in the next 60.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Caleb Edelblut.
Well, thanks for sticking here with us at Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Caleb Edelblut here in the Room to Room Weather Center and taking a look out here in Tupelo. You can see those actually somewhat cloudy conditions up here in Tupelo. No, these are not rain showers. I know they look a little darker. It's just more thicker clouds, not allowing much sun rays to pass through it. I know we would love to see some rain chances up here in Tupelo, but we are continuing to stay dry. 88 degrees, but here we go. This is the important part. Feels like values. 88 degrees as well. That northerly, northeasterly wind component, that is responsible for allowing us to continue to stay not as muggy or humid as what it could be. But taking a look at the high school game of the week forecast presented by Casey Lott, I mean, still beautiful conditions. Remove those rain chances. Most of us are going to stay dry. We're starting off around 89 degrees and thankfully cooling off by the time we get to halftime. So for those wanting and excited for those concession stand snacks, y'all will be enjoying it with some more favorable conditions and temperature. And of course, 74 degrees by the time we are wrapping up our game. Of course, Matt is still live in the field giving us the latest on those conditions.
Yeah, it certainly is pretty warm out here in Hatley. Nothing that's ridiculously over the top. Of course, it is homecoming, so I'm trying to be somewhat quiet here as they are getting everybody, the hopeful homecoming court, onto the field here in Hatley. Uh, Certainly a beautiful evening out here. Some high thin clouds, about as close as any moisture is getting to us. I'm gonna kind of walk off here, so I'm not that guy randomly yelling. But of course, a big matchup here between Hatley and Mantachie. We have the matchup that's ongoing, of course, off of the field on the band and cheerleaders of the week, and I'm excited to find out who ends up winning that here in a little bit. Of course, you still have some time in order to do the voting with that. That would, of course, be at my Facebook page. Just search for Matt Lopon, and you can just click on one of the photos. And Mantachie has a pretty commanding lead on that, so we'll see whether or not that's how this ends up. But voting continues until the end of this broadcast. As you alluded to, Caleb, though, it is pretty warm out here. When I find the shade, which is where I'm at right now, it's much, much more manageable. It's obviously in the sun, and that's a sign that the humidity is not excessive at this point, and certainly that kind of helps out with the way it feels out there. But certainly we're here in Hatley. We're going to have your highlights coming up here from our Mississippi Live Game of the Week presented by Casey Lott coming up at 10 o'clock, and we'll also have those band and cheerleaders of the week. But from the homecoming area here in Hatley High School, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon for Mississippi Live Weather. Caleb, we'll send it back to you. But first, let's actually go over to Oxford and talk to our Will Kohlmeyer.
Friday means obviously huge games in high school football, but our Will Kohlmeyer there in Oxford this evening, you've got a busy weekend of SEC play ahead, don't we?
No question about it. A huge Saturday. There's some terrific showdowns inside the conference, including this one right here as I am inside Vaught Hemingway Stadium. This will be the place to be for that SEC clash tomorrow night as Arkansas, the Razorbacks, are in town to take on the Rebels. Been a long-standing rivalry even before Arkansas joined the SEC, and we're expecting another terrific game tomorrow. Ole Miss favored by about a touchdown. It was a little bit bigger earlier in the week, the line, but it's gotten a little tighter. And, of course, everybody's wondering, will Austin Simmons start at quarterback or not? And we'll have to find out. Right now on the injury report, it says that he's not injured, that he will play tomorrow, but we'll see how it all shakes out. It's $1 million question. Everybody and their uncle's been asking me about that this week. And I think the Rebels, though, at home, they'll have this huge crowd, kind of like what Mississippi State had last Saturday night against Arizona State. That was a difference maker for the Bulldogs. And I think this crowd, they'll come in loud and proud, and that'll be a difference as well tomorrow for Lane Kiffin and company. So I like Ole Miss in this one. And speaking of Mississippi State, they'll be entertaining an in-state school, Alcorn State, tomorrow night at 5 o'clock at Davis Wade Stadium. Of course, it won't quite have the fireworks of last week with knocking off a top 12 team in Arizona State. The Bulldogs, even if they don't have their A game, they'll be fine tomorrow. They'll remain undefeated, and they'll go looking ahead to next week's game against Northern Illinois. And then the day all starts at 11 o'clock for our teams with Alabama at home in Tuscaloosa against Wisconsin. Alabama bounced back convincingly last week, didn't they, against ULM. Of course, the competition, ULM, nothing like Florida State that they had the previous week. But I like, obviously, Alabama with no problem tomorrow against Wisconsin. Now, I am in Oxford, and that is the site just across town for a crosstown classic, they call it, Oxford and Lafayette. And this time it'll be at the home of the Commodores. Last year it was all Oxford at home, winning 45-0. And they've won 3 of the last games against Lafayette and 7 of the last 8. And they are led. They've got a terrific quarterback. Drew Dean has had a huge year so far in the first 2 games, not only throwing but also running. He's thrown for 4. He's rushed for 2 touchdowns. And so I like Oxford, even though they're at Lafayette tonight. But you never know in rivalry games. We see it all the time. I know you've got a big one. You've got a couple teams that are undefeated, Matt, as well, with Hatley and Mantachie. But that could be a classic across town here tonight. We'll see what Lafayette can do against mighty Oxford. That Oxford offense is legit. They're averaging way over 400 yards a game.
They are. So, I mean, big matchup there. You know, it's that time of year where we start to get these matchups, not truly division though between Oxford and Lafayette, but it means just a little bit more, right?
Yeah, I think there's an extra edge. And if you would talk to both coaches, I think they probably saw a little bit more giddy up this week in practice. When you get ready to take on a rivalry, I don't care what the sport is, it is a little extra. And that edge will be seen tonight. So, and you mentioned a good point there, Matt, is that the division play is right around the corner for these teams. So everybody is trying to fine tune. They are trying to get themselves ready for division play when the games really start to count. So they're trying to gain momentum, and that'll be a key for your game as well down in Monroe County.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to a big weekend of high school football around the region. Our Will Kohlmeyer there in Oxford this evening. Hey, what else are you doing over there in Oxford this evening? Obviously not just there for the games tonight, but doing a little something else yourself.
Yeah, I've got my play-by-play schedule really gets busy in the fall, so I'll be across campus. I've got an SEC opener for Auburn and Ole Miss in soccer. So Ole Miss has won its last 4. Auburn comes in extremely red hot as well, so I'm looking forward to that. In case you're not watching high school football tonight, and in case you might want to watch a little SEC soccer, you can check out our broadcast on the ESPN app. It's an SEC Network Plus broadcast, so that means you'll see it on your ESPN app. It'll start at 7 o'clock.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Will. Appreciate it. Be safe. Have a good night.
Thank you. You as well.
Well, a big thanks to our Will Kohlmeyer and Chief Meteorologist Matt Laubon for giving us all the latest information on all these football games going on. I know, especially, I didn't know that the game of the week out in Hatley has their homecoming game. I know those are a blast to be a part of, so I know everyone will enjoy those plans. But speaking of football, SEC football forecast. This is what we love to see once we finally make it to the weekend. We see some pretty perfect, beautiful but warm conditions for our forecast at Mississippi State, starting off around 89 degrees. But as we continue into the rest of the game at Starkville, Mississippi, you should be wrapping up the game in the mid-70s on your way home. And like I mentioned in the 5 o'clock broadcast, home games galore. They are pretty much all at home. Oxford, Mississippi, Ole Miss hosting Arkansas. Starting off still around 89 degrees, but finishing just a little bit cooler, around 73 degrees by the time y'all are wrapping up y'all's football game. And then out here in Tuscaloosa, still pretty much more favorable conditions for the start, 84 degrees. But since y'all start a little bit earlier, y'all will warm up instead of cooling off halftime around 90 degrees. But thankfully, y'all don't really go much further than that, especially by the time y'all are wrapping up the game around 91 degrees. But clear skies excuse me, are pretty much the conditions for our football games. Now, taking a look at Futurecast, we could see technically not clear skies for the areas out here in the Delta, showing some rain showers. I think this is a little bit overdone, but I know we would love to see any rain chances we can get because, quite frankly, I think we've all forgotten what rain looks like in North Mississippi. It has been that dry, but that northerly wind, that is what is keeping us dry and what I think will continue to keep us dry as we head into the evening. Still, these showers are going to continue to push into the Delta, and I know y'all will soak up every second of the rain. That will continue into the evening hours around 10 o'clock, still trying to push on through, and even around midnight, still lingering some showers in the area. But by the time we get into those early AM hours, there is nothing to look at in the sky. Clear skies, beautiful skies by the time we are approaching our Saturday morning. There we go, some cloud cover really trying to push in, but that will be the extent of our moisture in our atmosphere for tomorrow. Taking a look at our lows, you can see we're pretty much in the mid 60s for the start of our day. South Haven coming in around 70 degrees, so already starting off warm. It's just that type of forecast as we transition from summer into fall. Taking a back look at Futurecast, showing those dry conditions, cloud cover pretty much being the only amounts of moisture that we can see in our atmosphere. That trend is going to continue into the rest of our morning. Some cloud cover really trying to build back up, and you can see some pockets of sprinkles. Like I mentioned earlier, reverting back to those kind of summer-like I wouldn't say storms, just showers trying to pop up, give you a little brief rain shower. I couldn't even point to it as quick. That out there in Oxford is still a little bubble trying to pop up, giving you some brief relief from the heat, but most of us will continue to stay dry into our Saturday. High temperatures, that is something we will all experience out here in North Mississippi, and still not something that we want to experience with how high they are right now. You can see some upper 80s, 89 in Hamilton, 88 in Red Bay, but for most of us in North Mississippi, we are sitting in the mid 90s. But thankfully, here we go, heat indices knocking us down just a few degrees. That cold front that came through a week ago, still reaping the benefits. We are a lot drier, so since we're not enjoying the rain, we can at least enjoy not many muggy, humid days in the coming few days into our work week, excuse me. But taking a look at Futurecast, still staying dry. Most of those pockets of moisture will be cloud cover, maybe some showers just out west of the Mississippi River, and they are moving the opposite way of Mississippi. We are going to stay dry into the Saturday evening and then Sunday morning around 12:30 in the morning. You can see not much cloud cover at all, just still that trend of staying dry is going to continue. This is 8:30 in the morning, so for our church commute should still be beautiful skies as we continue. And I was talking about not putting many pause points into 6 o'clock. I don't really need to. There is nothing going on. The most action we can see is some cloud cover building up, maybe a pocket or two of showers affecting us, but that will be very slim. If you get that shower on Saturday or Sunday, you won the jackpot. That is perfect for y'all, especially to maybe cool y'all off just a little bit, because high temperatures for Sunday, still mid-90s, just a little bit warmer than we are for Saturday. So that warming trend we've experienced all week long, it's not stopping for our weekend. We are going to continue to stay warm into our weekend as well. Those heat indices still knocking us down just a little bit. I think Red Bay is the place to be this weekend. So if y'all don't have any plans, go up to Red Bay, enjoy it. 86 degrees is what it will feel like for y'all Sunday. So perfect conditions are in store. Just got to get through that heat first. Taking a look at the 7-day forecast, it's heat. I mean, 92 degrees for our Saturday, and we are still going to continue to warm up into our Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, mid-90s will continue, but Thursday, those are our rain chances. That is where we start to see them pop up again. We have seen pretty much a bare 7-day forecast for the past week and into next week as well. But Thursday is something that we will want to monitor, especially just seeing those rain chances continue to hopefully increase and provide some meaningful rainfall for our area. But speaking of rain chances, I want to give y'all an update on the tropics. We are nearing peak hurricane season, and to be honest, it's been pretty quiet so far. Thankfully, it has been quiet. Most of those storms have been drifting off into the Atlantic, not affecting the United States. But I'm going to give y'all the latest update coming up in 1 minute.
Big out-of-state law firms treat you just like another case number. At Langston & Lott, we do things differently. We're your local lawyers right here in North Mississippi. We know this community because we're a part of it. When you call us, you talk to us, not some call center overseas. When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston & Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Well, thanks for sticking here with us at Mississippi Live Weather at 6. Taking a look out of the tropics, it's been pretty quiet this, honestly, I could argue season. Most of the storms that we have had have stayed in the Atlantic and not really affected the United States directly, thankfully. And that is a trend that we want to continue to see. But we do have a disturbance out in the Atlantic, and as we approach peak hurricane center, we need to be watching these every second of the day because they will just continue to update with all the model runs. Right now, we have a 0% chance of formation becoming a tropical storm within the next 48 hours or the next 2 days, but we have seen it bumped up just a little bit for the next 7 days, going, I believe it was 30% yesterday to 40% for today, developing within the next 7 days. So something that we need to continue to monitor here at Mississippi Live Weather, and something we will make sure to continue updating y'all on, especially as we approach that peak hurricane season. But taking a look at the future Saharan dust, it shows you kind of where it's dry, where it's moist, especially with that moist graphic that moisture graphic that we have that I love to show y'all. But hurricanes don't like dust. They don't like dry conditions. They need that moisture. They need it to build up in strength. And so they want to avoid these pretty much dark brown areas. That's that Saharan dust coming off of Africa. Now, if we track this model out, you can kind of almost see some of that circulation. That is the start of this disturbance. And it's going to try to find a pocket in between these two really dark pockets of brown, and that's just showing where that dust is very heavy. And this model is continuing to show that circulation continuing into the rest of our work week. This is Tuesday at 3 in the morning. So this disturbance isn't something that's going to affect us by the time we're reaching the end of the weekend or the start of our work week. This is still a ways away out, but it's showing that it is trying to find a pocket as we continue into our work week, showing that it wants to stay pretty well, it doesn't want to stay dry. It wants to stay moist. It wants to avoid the dry completely. And you can see definitely really finding its spot right here, not showing much dust in the atmosphere. And that's going to continue into Wednesday and 7 o'clock as well. So just showing that what it's wanting to avoid and build off of. Now, of course, we're going to continue monitoring that disturbance, and the best way to stay informed is with the Mississippi Live weather app. We appreciate all the downloads that y'all have given us. It has been amazing watching the support that y'all have given this team, and I appreciate coming up in front of this camera and giving y'all the latest information. And of course, I just want to continue doing that for y'all. So we really appreciate all the support. Cannot do it without y'all. And speaking of that, submit some pictures. I would love to show some pictures tonight for the 10 o'clock broadcast, or even some tomorrow for our 6 and 10 broadcasts. Speaking of those broadcasts, we will go back to the weekend schedule tomorrow, but we will be live tonight at 10. I know Gabe will be shooting some highlights. Very excited to see those from the game of the week out in Hatley. And also, we'll reveal the Spirit Squad of the week and Band of the week. So make sure to continue to stay updated here at Mississippi Live Weather, and we will be back live tonight at 10.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Laupon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Laupon has proven himself trustworthy.